specifically, it's like WrestleMania that I'm going to this weekend. Saturday and Sunday.
That's awesome.
That's a whole event. And on tonight, Friday, there's an event, but I'm not going to go.
Yeah, if we want to be classy about it, it's sort of like Wagner's Ringside, which takes like 3 days.
WrestleMania, it's the performance in front of the gods.
Yeah, so it was
You don't think
technically.
WrestleMania is classy?
Let's just
You
move
don't
on.
think
Let's
that
just move on.
WrestleMania is classy?
This is the
Classy.
man. He would.
Muhammad Ali performed at WrestleMania.
Performed?
Cindy Lauper. Yeah, he shook. Which is a performance. Cindy Lauper.
Was at a WrestleMania.
She performed at WrestleMania.
I remember Lou Albano was there.
He was also at one.
Yeah.
I remember Undertaker.
Mike Tyson.
Let me ask you this: was Val Venus ever at a WrestleMania? Did he ever
Venus
do
is now
his?
paralyzed. Okay. Can you please?
Was the Godfather? Was Pimpin' Ain't
Godfather
Easy?
is-
Were the words
actually
Pimpin'
runs
Ain't
us through-
Easy said at a WrestleMania?
Oh my God! I didn't know I was dealing with such a fucking elitist.
Yeah, he's only got a few
Wow.
precious breaths.
Oh my
It's
God!
like,
What's that new Hillary Rodham Clinton tattoo you have?
Yeah, see, I was gonna say when he came in with his pussy hat on, I was like, that's fine. I mean, like, he can be like that. He's got Maddow head tattooed on his lower back.
I do. I did, and I got it all done this week. I've changed. This is what's changed.
WrestleMania is a classic.
Anything ending in mania is always extremely classic.
At the time, the most famous mystery plays had been The Mystery of Adam, about the creation of the universe, and The Mystery of the Passion, which is, of course, about Jesus' crucifixion.
Hey, those are the big
All
ones.
passions. It's a big thing.
Yes,
Man, the Stations of the Cross. If you wanted just a good cerebral horror movie, just the Stations of the Cross is the best.
Passion of the Christ. That's a fantastic horror movie.
I mean, these mystery plays, Mystery of Adam, Mystery of the Passion, it's like Jaws and Star Wars.
Yeah, it's the best.
But Gilles' grand theatrical production, of which he oversaw every aspect from the costumes to the sets, was Les Mystères du Siège. Perfect.
The Mr. Who Shits.
Mr. Who Shits. And it's that man right over there.
I did it.
It translates The Mystery of the Siege of Orleans.
Now,
He wrote a whole play about him and Joan of Arc taking Orleans.
Interesting.
If you look into, I found a really cool document thesis on the origins of the mystery of the Stash of Young, right? And what they say is very, very interesting. Is that they're like, well, of all the other mysteries, there's documentation about who wrote it because they're so huge, and they also get added to over like 100 years.
Yeah.
And this is when he was producing this play. It was during a time period when Joan of Arc was, as we said before, they were trying to be like, it's not.
Yeah, she sucked. She was a witch. We burned her.
We're just more like.
Not necessarily. This was the side that was pro Joan of Arc, but they just wanted her to go away.
They just didn't want it. Like,
Cool
why we making such a big deal over this? I mean, we got a king. We don't need a child prophet in the mix here.
Let's focus on the king. Don't focus on Joan of Arc. The king, he's the one with the
He's
divine
doing it.
connections.
Yeah, he's doing it. And so.
What about her laptop?
We do need to look at Joan of Arc's laptop. That is really. That's the truth we're not hearing. So he was putting this out there during a time period where everyone's been like, okay, this is weird, right? But they were like looking into the origins of where this play came from. They have a really hard time. They're like, well, we have like one version of it, but the one thing that really stood out was that Gilles de Rais was kind of cut out of any. So there's receipts that show that he paid for shit.
Yeah.
But all of these people at the time kind of like took his name from the record. They were all just like, he was just some reason not really included in this time period, especially because they know that in the 10 years after the Battle of Orleans, that started to become a little like a semi-unofficial holiday that people will kind of do. And this play started showing up and Gilles de Rais attached to it. And it was just this weird thing where everyone kind of like pushed him in the right. He got Kevin Spacey, is what I'm trying to say. Is that now? This is my theory, is that they all
Like the
knew,
season 5 of House of Cards.
yes, they knew he was so gross. But the idea is they knew that he was so gross that they were already trying to erase him from history at the time period. Because they feel like they didn't want him involved. Because again, it was also this like weird touchy thing because the mystery of the Siege of Orleans didn't become official it's promoting your name.
Yeah. Admission, however, was charged on a sliding scale. For the poor, it cost 1 franc to be a groundling.
Not bad. I got a couple of francs in my closet right now. Pull them out. Have them tell a couple of jokes. They'll walk right
Are
in.
those your dead sex slave zombies, like your Chef Dahmer?
You've got Frank Caliendo in your closet?
Oh my God! No, I'm John Madden. Whoa,
Who's everybody?
I'm Bill Clinton.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that good?
That is
No,
good.
I was thinking Frank from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, sure,
Isn't he
that's
fun?
Yeah, that's much more fun
Isn't
than
he
Frank
fun?
Caliendo.
Yeah, Frank Kelly. I'm John Madden. He's very talented.
Yes. But with Gilles de Rais, who seemed intent on showing off in every aspect of the production of his own mystery play, he paid for everything and charged nothing for admission.
fuck.
In addition, he gave everyone access to a full buffet of venison, succulent fish,
Yes.
mead, and wine for every single performance for 5 months.
And everyone's just like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
free meals, you're gonna do this. And then Gilles de Rais said to me, like, no, it's just about performance. It's about what just kind of about what we're trying to do.
It's about community.
It's about community.
It is. It is.
Movies little community that I come on.
I feel like it was a better time to be poor back then. You know, you got all this free food.
No,
meat.
no.
No,
Maybe
no.
it was a better week to be poor.
Yeah, there you go.
That one day might have been nice.
It's kind of fun.
It's still all hot, old, succulent fish.
Yeah.
But, like, it's still
Yeah.
hanging out outside.
A little bit of venison. I mean, that's real good cut. That's a good meat now.
It's a good meat, yeah.
Yeah. If you hit a deer in Wisconsin, you can eat it.
Yeah.
You can.
But unless you pop its fucking shit bag inside of it,
No,
then you
you have to do
contaminate
it.
all the meat.
Yeah, you. Oh, that's true.
Now, in order to raise the cash to pay for all this, Gilles maxed out his credit using his land, castles, art, furniture, and books as collateral. Gilles also paid 2 to 3 times the actual price for everything he bought, although it's not clear if he paid high prices as a show of wealth, through impatience, or because he just had no idea how much anything cost.
Yeah, I think it was if the mom from Arrested
What's a
Development.
banana cost?
Yeah.
$10?
Yeah.
Well, as far as the actual cost of production went, Gilles paid 140 actors with speaking parts, while 500 to 600 people were paid as extras every single
Damn,
performance.
that's a lot of people. How big was the stage?
Huge. Huge. Because they said they had to build it regularly to like look like they would make it, you know, in the Mystery of the Passion. Watch this
Right.
speak. For
Oh,
some reason, they're all
Washington speak.
obsessed with watching this speak.
Metaphor.
Well, it was big enough where they were actually able to convincingly show movement of armies.
That's cool.
That's
from like
awesome.
one
It's
scene
awesome.
to another. Yeah, I would love to have seen one of those. Like, it sounds incredible.
It's kind of like what they do at the opera.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, every single person, every single actor had to be dressed in the most authentic costumes possible, and everything had to be made from the finest cloth, even if the costume was torn into rags
Yes.
to represent someone who was to represent a peasant.
He would do like what Balenciaga does,
Balenciaga.
where you take like a thing, you look like a homeless person, but the whole outfit costs like 15 grand.
They're controversial.
They are.
Balenciaga.
They honestly, why
Balenciaga.
it's actually why it's appropriate because Gilles de Rais is the Balenciaga of this entire story.
All right.
But perhaps what was most incredible about these costumes was the fact that Gilles made a rule where every actor only wore their costume once.
Whoa, then what happened to it?
They would throw it away and make a new one for every single performance.
That's wasted a lot of money.
700 new costumes for every single performance.
Wow.
Now, after months of preparation, Gilles made his debut on May 8th, 1435, just 4 years after the death of Joan of Arc, when her rise as a hero of the French and her fall as a supposed heretic was still a fresh memory. In fact, one could say that Gilles de Rais was the first person that recognized Joan of Arc as a martyr.
Well, he definitely put it on the map.
Mhm.
Wow. Did you know in the NFL players have to buy their jerseys?
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
What do you mean?
But
And
they get
also, the president, you know, if he goes to the kitchen or she goes to the kitchen, they got to pay for it.
What?
They have to pay for the sandwiches.
What are you even talking
It's
about?
like they have to pay for the
They
sandwich.
have to
What
pay
are
for
you-
this.
what?
I'm talking
Where
about
does
how
this
crazy
come
this. I'm talking about how he was the 700 wardrobe changes that they had every single show.
Yeah, of course he had to pay for it.
I'm
It was
just
his
saying,
production.
he was the
doesn't
producer.
even do that. And if you're the leader of the free world, you also have to pay for your
Yeah,
sandwiches.
you got to pay for everything in some aspect.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
Where did you hear that this president has to pay for sandwiches?
That's a fact. That was from the White House chef.
You're talking about the only man who ever did that was probably Jimmy Carter.
No, that was the
He's
White
been
House chef who worked for Bill Clinton.
I'm just a simple peanut farmer.
That's Bob Dylan. That's pretty close to Jimmy
I
Carter.
put a little bit out, a little bit. I
It's more,
tip jar out.
it's more Randy Newman.
Easy.
Not a president.
President Jimmy Carter.
You're about to do Welcome Back,
Don't
Congress.
worry, I put an IOU in the jar. That's just nice as turkey for me.
Oh my God.
Well, the reviews for the Siege of Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
All right.
Oh, yeah, man. It was a big
hit.
play.
It was an absolute hit. As far as the story went, Joan of Arc was portrayed as a saint of the highest order, while Gilles was portrayed in a fully glamorized version of himself as her faithful servant, because that's how he wanted the public to see him.
It is interesting. He made himself kind of the second fiddle.
Well, he was only one little character in one chunk of it because he wanted to watch himself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but he didn't make himself the most grandiose.
But he would be sitting on like an elevated chair amongst the audience, like watching his own play. So like,
but that's
like how we watch old YouTube clips of ourselves on our television and go, "You're the best comedian I've ever seen."
I don't know about that. I don't. We have different nights.
Well, for him, it wasn't about being glorified on stage. For him, it was about showing the decadence that he could put on this play. In fact, it was a bit more of a plus for him to not be portrayed as one of the main characters, because it's like, oh, look at this, I can put on this entire play. It is not about me, it's about John. I just want to make sure that everybody sees how good John is.
No, I think there's something to that because
Harvey
when,
Weinstein. I just want people to know that just Gwyneth Paltrow has got the nice. I think she's just got a nice couples. Right?
I don't think that
and
is
we
what
got
he-
a
that's
slam
not
him
even
up
what
there.
he
We got the
sounds like.
sensitive guy with this little mustache, and he goes, Romeo and Juliet. I think she's got the badungas coming out. Now that's the movie right there.
It's
That's
really
the
not.
fucking movie.
That's ruining the movie. It was more like when we watched Page 7 and Wizbrew perform in Brooklyn, and we didn't have to do anything, and we ate all the cheese in the green room.
Yeah, that's how we're like Gilles de Rais. Great.
There you go. Because we're like, this is even better than performing. Remember?
And we did have to pay for the food that we ate.
Yeah,
Because
we
that's
always
what a
do.
writer is.
We always
See,
do.
that makes sense.
It took me.
It all makes sense.
It took me years to make the two of you understand that shit
No.
that we get in the writer, we have to pay
It
for
took
that.
1 year.
It
Marcus, we knew that.
I don't think you did. At first I didn't, but then I immediately knew.
I knew it.
Well, let's hear an example of some lines that
Oh.
Gilles' character said in the play.
Okay.
This is him pledging his service to Joan.
Lady, have no
No.
doubt of me.
No, don't.
What
It's not
is
Ray
this?
Liotta.
No,
What
I'm
are
doing
these
it's
accents
Harvey
today?
Weinstein.
No, it's
now
not.
this is
Do
me and
Harvey
Harvey
Weinstein.
Weinstein.
I don't want
give
to
it-
be Harvey Weinstein.
Give it more. Yeah, I don't want to do a Harvey Weinstein. Give it more of a give it a French romantic. Give it a Gerard. If you want it.
Why are you going
if you want-
Italian? Lady. Oh my! Just
Oh,
let
yeah,
him do whatever
I
he wants.
can
Let
do
him
it,
do it.
I
No,
can do
you-
it.
no,
I
you-
can do it.
If you must do a horrible man, then do Gerard Depardieu.
Oh, lady, I have no doubt of me. I wish but to do your will. My friends and underlings, no way.
Just do it the way you were doing
I
it.
shall come, and we shall do your will in everything.
Okay.
Oh, I've got to pee.
Yeah.
I've got to pee.
In a laugh. Wow.
Well, later on in the play, when the other commanders are questioning the wisdom of Joan's tactics, Gilles is shown as her greatest defender, basically showing everyone that if it weren't for Gilles, there would be no Jean, which is actually true.
We should refuse her nothing, and have no doubt of victory, since she is at the head. You're like, great, Gilles. Great stuff, Gilles.
And so, with this scintillating dialogue, Les Mystères du Siège d'Orléans ran daily for 5 months. Every day for 5 months.
Like Billy Joel at MSG.
Dude, that's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, glorifying both Joan and Gilles while conveniently leaving out that Gilles stayed silent and did nothing during the 6 months of the trial that were sure to lead to Joan's execution.
Probably actually helped her get caught.
Yep.
Yeah.
But while Gilles was producing Les Mystères des Sièges d'Orléans, I get better every time I say it.
You do.
And during its entire 5-month run, it's important to remember that he was also still luring children into castles and murdering them slowly and horrifically. That never stopped. In other words, Gilles de Rais's place in the French theatrical world is exactly what QAnon followers believe modern Hollywood to be, a cesspool of pedophilic child murderers ultimately run by the so-called elite.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like the seed, but then they grow into a dumb tree.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's a
dumb
dumb tree.
that
You
grows
know,
out
it's
of
just-
like
Yes,
one seed.
we do know that there are pedophiles in Hollywood. We absolutely know that. We know that there are sexual predators in Hollywood. We absolutely know that.
Oh, yeah.
But ritualistic child murder on the part of Tom Hanks and Oprah might be a bridge too far.
Just because their schedules are so packed.
yeah.
It's so hard to get them together in one
Together,
place.
yeah.
Imagine getting Oprah, Tom Hanks, and Bill Clinton in one room. That's a fucking. That takes
Wow.
6 months to
It does.
I
orchestrate.
think they're all the same person.
But while the similarities are, it was more of a QAnon unto himself. But there was also never any supposed hero working behind the scenes to bring him to justice.
No, as a matter of
There
fact,
was
everybody
there
that
was no
was-
storm coming.
No, and everybody that was around him was somebody who he slowly but surely either positioned to be close to him because they were cool with it, or they owed him a bunch of money. Like they
Yeah.
were just kind of, or just straight up evil.
Yeah, or they had a stake in Gilles de Rais staying in power.
Yes.
I mean, in reality, nobody around Gilles de Rais gave a fuck about anything he was doing, just so long as it didn't mess with anyone else's power and privilege. And really, there wasn't much of a point to Gilles de Rais' excesses, decadent and depraved, just for the point of being decadent and depraved. Besides, Gilles never worried about the expenditures during the production of his mystery play, because he believed that all of his money troubles would soon be solved by black magic and alchemy.
Oh, sweet.
Honestly, he's not wrong.
I mean, okay.
I mean, it turned out to be.
Yeah. Now, Gilles de Rais' dabblings in the magical world actually began north of the satanic realm.
Jersey.
Oh, very nice.
When it came to mysticism, Gilles was introduced to magic by Joan of Arc, who had seemingly used divine powers to defeat the English, even if those same powers didn't translate to battles against the Burgundians.
Hey man, even we know God ain't at 100%.
Yeah.
No, and not the Burgundians are always going to be in God's favor.
Well, that's part of the magic of it, is that it was said that just so long as Joan paid fealty to God and listened to the voices, then she was always won. She always had somebody to save her. But the moment she started going off on her own and not listening to the voices, then that's when she was captured and killed.
Because that was the problem. You're looking at all these voices, and the only thing you want to say to you is like, "Hey, Jean, show me the ditties." And you're like,
right.
"Hey, I got a job.
I
here."
got
You
a
got a
job.
job to do, Joan.
But while Gilles was seemingly seeing God's intervention in the real world, which showed him that the supernatural was indeed real, he encountered a knight in possession of a grimoire.
Wow.
Now, the books certainly contained information about summoning demons, but to Gilles, the most important entries had to do with the practice of alchemy.
Now remember, this is fucking real practical for Gilles.
Oh, this is all
Sure.
magic is a practical thing.
It's
for these
very.
people.
It
gonna
reminds
work
me
out great.
like it's interesting because it's like he's. I was trying to figure out the proper like connection to modern times.
Yeah, I couldn't quite figure it out either. It's like it's something that like it's frowned upon. It's I don't know, like short selling stock.
It's something
Oh,
like
it's
that.
like
Well, it's like
people
when
who do the crossing over stuff.
or it's that it's also people that like political candidates that like obviously are probably child molesters that also like join the evangelical groups to kind of like get their
Could be.
support. There's something about like him joining forces with a straight up con people, but
Yeah.
he's like that will like it's
could be.
another part of his like mania.
Yeah. Well, let's get briefly into alchemy. Well, for those of you who don't know, alchemy was a sort of Middle Ages frontrunner of chemistry that also combined occultism, philosophy, magic, and astrology.
It's a lifestyle, baby.
Yeah. Now, alchemy certainly had other uses, but its most famous application was the transmuting of baser substances like lead into pure gold.
And also,
Nice.
there is a constant debate about whether or not that was about is that an allegorical
Yeah,
meaning or
allegorical.
But then a lot of them say, well, the thing is, yes, it's allegorical, but
Only because
also
it didn't fucking work.
yes,
They
yeah,
tried.
yes.
I mean, as
Yeah.
we're-
No, that was allegorical. That was
It's
metaphorical.
about symbolism.
Yeah, straight.
It's I know I drink too much to have sex with you, but it's all just about the fact that it's about symbolism.
Dude, our Catholic priest, Father Steve, used to talk all the time about how he saw the bread turn into body and flesh. I
Oh, of
swear,
course.
but I don't think that's true.
No,
I think
it's not.
I think they bought a ribeye and threw it underneath the crackers.
We just covered the fucking story of the woman who lost the toes, who got shot by her husband, and then they made the toes grow back, and then they're not
No
showing us
evidence.
the goddamn toes.
Show us the
And they're like,
toes.com.
this would be huge. Show us the fucking toes.
Show us the toes.
Rise from your grave.
I have been shilling these pictures of horses in various costumes all over this country. And I'm getting doors slammed in my face everywhere I go. And that's why I'm setting my own website, so that I don't need a dealer. I don't need a distributor to sell these various horse pics of Henry Cavill, formerly Superman, formerly the man from Witcher, now just civilian. Civilian Henry Cavill horse pics. You want to see it because of the I digitally put in a bunch of pecs underneath the horse. All right, you're gonna love the horse pics. It's Squarespace.com. It's Squarespace Analytics, so you know how many people in Maine are purchasing my horse pics. 5. The online stores feature provides you with the tools you need to start selling online. Squarespace also offers a member areas feature, where you can sell access to gated content like videos, online courses, or newsletters, and the ability to display posts from your social profiles on your website, because then you can make your Condoleezza Rice horse, your AOC horse. It's all types, every type of political spectrum, and you can do it in a special place where it's celebrated and not maligned. Head to squarespace.com/left for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use offer code LEFT to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. If you're listening to this podcast, it means you know the good stuff, and you like to get the best of everything. But if you don't have Metro by T-Mobile, you're missing out on a deal you'll love. Right now, when you switch to Metro, get unlimited 5G starting at $25 a month per line for 4 lines. And every unlimited plan comes with a free 5G phone. That means more money in your pocket and unlimited streaming of your favorite podcasts, just like this one. Metro is the perfect fit for people who like to get deals. Switch and get unlimited 5G starting at $25 a month per line for 4 lines and a free 5G phone. Get more for your money, only at Metro.
In-store only with eligible port-ins. Free phones via instant rebate. If congested, users using greater than 35 gigabytes per month may notice reduced speeds, and Metro customers may notice reduced speeds versus T-Mobile due to prioritization. Video streams in SD.
Now, medieval alchemists failed again and again in their attempt at such a miracle. Because, I mean, even if it was an allegory for some, it definitely wasn't an allegory for Gilles de Rais.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but instead of concluding that such a thing was impossible, alchemists decided that they must be missing some unknown ingredient.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it, Barry, did you piss in it? Yeah. Did you spit in it? Yeah. Did
Every
you
day.
fuck a virgin last night? No.
But honestly,
Let's redo the whole thing.
all those things I was doing anyway.
And they ended up referring to this secret sauce as the Philosopher's Stone. Then, seemingly for the hell of it, they also decided that the Philosopher's Stone could be used to make a tea or wine that produced an elixir of immortality, which is where alchemist Nicolas Flamel enters the picture. But supposedly, Nicolas Flamel, who was a real guy, he actually existed, he had discovered the Philosopher's Stone. And while for us, Flamel is a centuries-old figure, for Gilles de Rais, Nicolas Flamel died when Gilles was 14 years old.
Yeah, he was right there.
Yeah.
He invented alchemy during his lifetime.
Yeah, therefore, Flamel and the Philosopher's Stone were within living memory, and Flamel had been French to boot, local guy. Nicholas had made his wealth speculating in real estate, which gave him the appearance of bottomless pockets.
Man, that has been around since time, since buildings
Yeah.
can be sold.
Since land.
The idea of being
estate.
like, "Hey, I'm not really liquid right now."
Yes, indeed. Real estate. A tale as old as time.
And since Flamel also dabbled in alchemy, a rumor started that he had found the Philosopher's Stone. That's why he had bottomless pockets.
Wow.
This is like when you see someone just being like, "Why do they always on a boat on Instagram? Like, why are they always on a boat? Why are you always like at the time you're like,
Sometimes they Photoshop
Yeah, sometimes
themselves.
they Photoshop, and sometimes they're yachting.
oh no, I know."
Well, this is highly interesting to Gilles de Rais because he wanted to live life the way he'd been living it in every aspect. So he needed Nicolas Flamel's magic rock that created gold.
Of course he did.
You now built a probably, $100 million church to molest people. Then you've also
theater.
put on a play.
What about the theater?
Yes, you put on a play, which is technically very positive. That's
Yes.
very positive. You put on the play, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of this. You are hemorrhaging money. And you are an unrepentant, child molesting psychopath that's also not good at work.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting there being like, this is not going to continue. You must have a magical rock.
Yeah, and
Right.
I know that the Philosopher's Stone is not necessarily a magical rock. It's a word for a substance.
whole thing.
Or it's an allegory, but for our purposes, it's a fucking magic rock.
It might as well be.
Yeah. See, the thing about Gilles de Rais that's often misunderstood when people call him a satanic pedophile child killer is that the satanic part is somewhat of an exaggeration.
Hey, let's leave the Satanist alone.
I mean, it definitely makes him sound more ghoulish and interesting,
awesome.
but it's not his main gig.
Sure.
Put another way, he did not get into black magic and Satan because it was evil and rad like other occult murder torture killers like Richard Ramirez and Bob Berdella. Instead, Gilles de Rais got into the game for money. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why. It's for
There's
money.
so much money in it.
Well, he didn't know. Well, he was just like, well, I've tried being an army for hire, but then I have to travel.
That's
And
a
then
lot of
I
work.
try to do all of this, but I just spend money. I'm not stop making any money. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Start charging money for the theater, the tickets.
Nah, but then everyone won't want to. Everyone won't think I'm the greatest guy in the world.
Yeah.
because that's what. Because remember how Bernie Randolph said that was his ultimate flaw was that he just wanted to be a good guy to everyone.
Yeah.
He did.
And he just didn't know. And if they wanted me to be the go-to guy, so I needed to be the go-to guy for them.
He cared too much.
He cared too much. He worked
Absolutely.
too hard.
Mm-hmm. See, what Gilles needed more than anything was cash to spend, so he could maintain his fantasy of unlimited privilege. The whole thing of him trying to recreate his childhood. So he pawned properties, he pawned castles. Sometimes he sold entire towns at fire sale prices in order to get cash as fast as possible to buy more stuff and to pay for more theatrical productions.
That'd be a fun Pawn Stars episode.
A town?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna need to call in my expert, and it's Barbara Corcoran
Yeah, Barbara Corcoran,
from
yeah.
Shark Tank. She's horny. She's so fuck you right now, dude. She is so horny.
just want to be left alone.
Well, he's in real estate.
But speaking of Gilles' productions, it seems as if he already understood some pretty heavy magical principles even while he was producing Les Mystères du Siège d'Orléans. Or at least he was trying to figure out some magical principles. See, it's been theorized that Gilles was attempting to magically invoke the spirit of Joan of Arc through the Mystery Plate. Don't know why, it's just been speculated.
Well, because what do we know about Tulpas?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That is the thing that is the very old concept of kind of great, but also it's just maybe kind of a hope.
I mean, he might just miss his friend, and he might, because that's the thing.
Those
that-
were his best time. Those were his best years.
They really were his best years during his time with Joan, where that was the peak of his life. And a lot of serial killers too, they also say like, I need someone to stop me. Why won't somebody stop me? And I think
Right.
maybe he thinks if Joan of Arc comes back, then he will stop.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you'll be a better person. You won't fucking murder children anymore.
Okay.
Well, it's been theorized that he, of course, was trying to invoke the spirit of Joan of Arc. And through his studies, he'd learned that a requirement for magic was that every material used in a magical ritual had to be quote-unquote virgin,
All
never
these-
used before.
But what these people did not know, if this is true, that they were all part of some super ritual, like some big old thing, is that's technically also against magical ritual principles as it is.
You're gonna go. You're technically, Gilles.
Yes.
You're gonna go do that with
That's
Gilles
what he
Durant?
needed. That's what he needed.
You're
somebody
gonna
like me.
pull tactical. You're gonna pull a Reddit card.
It didn't work, did it?
I'm gonna pull a technical card. Well, technically, this is 15th century magic. You're talking more 18th century magic, 19th century magic. You're talking Order of the Golden Dawn
But
magic.
this hermetic teachings came from somewhere, didn't they?
You know, guys, we'll discuss it later over a drink.
Well, this is why Gilles insisted that the costumes be made anew for every performance. Because
That's-
to use any object secondhand or to use anything that had been used in non-magical endeavors was to court failure, if not outright disaster. But Gilles, he didn't care about spending insane amounts of money because by the time his spending habits had reached their heights, he'd already come to believe he was just a hair away from discovering the secret to unlimited wealth through alchemy and black magic.
You know
Perfect.
You know what this is, man? This is Jeffrey Epstein dumping his money into Harvard scientists trying to live forever. Like trying to
It
isolate
really
his
is.
cock and to move into space.
Yeah.
Like it's that shit.
Yeah, and this is old magic. This is grimoire magic. This is Merlin magic. This is not Aleister Crowley and his fucking Ponzi friends having imaginary spell spats in overpriced London flats.
Yeah.
These
this
guys-
is less butt plugs, maybe.
Oh, these guys thought they had God on tap.
Yeah,
This is like
and the devil on tap, more importantly.
Yeah.
Ooh, on draft. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that these grimoires that were being written, like this is a grimoire that was written like last week. You know,
Yeah.
these were transcribed
Fresh.
grimoires. This is before the printing press, so only the most wealthy could afford.
And
these
so you would say then maybe admit that writing those grimoires might be more difficult than dictating them.
yeah, writing them.
Don't
coming
fall
up.
into his little fucking trap. The person who writes it's the person who thinks of it.
Yeah, the
the
person who
person
thinks
that
of it.
just fucking writes it is basically a typewriter.
There is a word for that. It's called a scribe.
And indeed, a scribe. Without a scribe, who gives a fuck what you're saying? Because they have to
That's
write
you.
it all down.
That's you. That is your entire life. What is just talking
Yeah,
and no
that's
one
what
writing
we
it
do.
down?
That's what you and I do.
Yeah,
No,
that's
people
your.
write down my words in their mind.
So you're saying they're doing the hard work of writing down the words in their mind that you're while you're just
They
yapping?
hear my words like Frodo saw the ring. Memorize. They put it in their brains. Because of the way I've learned how to speak.
You lost your. This is it.
Oh, that's not.
This is over.
No, it is difficult to write.
Yeah.
You know.
I know.
You know.
I know. Now, sometime around 1436, Gilles was told of a goldsmith who claimed to know the secrets of alchemy. So Gilles found the man, gave him a single silver piece, and told him to transmute it to gold. Instead, the goldsmith took the piece, locked himself in a room, got drunk, passed out, woke up, and absconded with the silver.
Technically, that's just that's a consultation.
It is.
That's hilarious. I just like that happened. That'll happen now.
Well,
Yeah,
I just
that
love.
happened.
I love this again. It's all like with the same brains. They have the same brains that we have.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's just surrounded by con men.
Oh, yeah. And this was only the first of many, many men to hoodwink Gilles de Rais under the guise of teaching him one sort of magic or another. But even though his first foray was a bust, Gilles was tantalized by the possibility of transmutation. So he got two of his priests at the Chapel of Holy Innocents, who usually phoned him boys. They said, "Put that on hold.
Okay.
I got other people to get me boys.
Uh-huh.
I want you guys on finding me magicians."
Yeah, you know what that meant? Meant that's a decision that came from a fresh ejaculate. Because that's a clear-headed, it's a clear-headed idea.
decision, yeah.
I guess so.
Well, the first priest was Eustace Blanchet, and the second was Father André Boucher.
Bobby Boucher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he'd recently brought Gilles, a 9-year-old boy, to rape and murder in exchange for a really nice horse.
Big pants. That's the big pants
Yeah,
that
that's
time.
that. All right.
And so, through Blanchet, Boucher, and Gilles' cousin, Gilles de Sillé, de Rais began. Goddamn.
A lot of French.
Lot of French.
Fucking asshole.
And it all rhymes. He began interviewing potential magicians. Oh my god.
That would have been fun.
Terrible lobby.
Yes, indeed.
One, known only as Trompette, later claimed that he had instructed Gilles on how to sign a pact with the devil using his own blood.
First thing you do is you gotta pop open the skin, right? Then you just sign your John Hancock right on this slip of paper. John Hancock's not gonna be around for another 7
No, he's not. And it's Herbie Hancock.
Funny whole bit.
Yes, indeed. So these guys are just killing a bunch of rabbits in front of him and doing a bunch of tricks with doves and cards and stuff.
They probably got some of that fun powder that you throw into a fire. That, yeah.
Are you afraid of the dark?
Yeah.
Yes.
But Gilles, he later insisted during his trial that he never sold his soul to the devil for power or for riches.
I mean, that's really not even. Why are we talking about that?
because
There's so many other things. Like there's tangible things that he did that were really wrong.
It's interesting because it's how they frame it. It's how they frame what he did. Meanwhile, he's just straight up being like, no. We never fucking conjured up the devil. Do you have an idea how difficult it is to get him on the phone?
Mm-hmm.
I have. We got to talk to his other. We got to
Why
talk
are
to
we
other
wasting
people.
time here? Let's just get to the charges, shall we?
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that later. But yeah, his whole thing was that from his perspective, God was definitely real. He didn't want to go to hell. He did fear for his immortal soul, so he figured that he'd do the same thing his grandfather, Jean de Craon, did. That at the end of my life, I'll just say, give me a mulligan.
A mulligan?
Fucking forgive me, God.
It's built in.
I repent, forgive me, God, and he'll go straight to heaven, and then in a few hundred years, he'll welcome Adolf Hitler and say, how you doing?
Yeah, honestly, they're all hanging out right now.
They're all hanging out right now.
Isn't that fun to think about?
Well, as far as the no magic rule went, Gilles figured that he could find a back door to the powers of sorcery and alchemy without selling his soul like a common
He's
peasant.
trying to cheat this. The whole thing is a cheat. He's trying to do a life cheat. He's trying to hack the life cheat.
Yeah.
It's all, what goes down to it is about negotiations. You want to get in there?
I still don't know
think
this
about
impression is
overhead.
It's Harvey Weinstein.
I don't even think it sounds like.
Look at him. Watch his
Thanks,
entire.
I see the
Fucking
ugly
thanks.
man that he is.
I made sure this morning I boiled 2 hard-boiled eggs to know what his dick looked like.
You know, it's incredible how many men in this city look like him.
Hey, it's called the producer's body.
It really, like, every time I drive out to my doctor, I have to drive through Beverly Hills, and I always see a weird fat man in his front yard talking to somebody. It always looks like Harvey Weinstein.
It's becoming me. I'm going to eventually turn into that, but be a good one. But that's the problem. Is when I drive with my top down in the car, it's never women that check it out. It's always some other fat man that's just like, nice.
With a beard.
Well, sometimes it's just 5 o'clock.
All right, let's not expound on it too much further.
But with each magician Gilles met, the interview usually came with some sort of demonstration of power or the appearance of power. And while most of these magicians were allegedly and technically successful in showing, they made show, they did make a little bit of show.
That's magic.
They also weren't what Gilles wanted.
No.
One magician who came to Thievage attempted an invocation that scared Gilles so much that he locked himself in a room, sat himself down in a magical circle of protection, and refused to leave.
This is like,
It's like when I took acid at Tina's bachelor party.
It's very similar.
Oh man, it was scary.
something was going on. I don't know if it's a Madame Blavatsky style, like they had helpers, like people coming in and out, but Gilles de Rais is extremely superstitious.
Yeah.
And as you went through these processes of fighting these magicians, like each one of them scared the shit out. And he,
So weird.
because there's a tension. There's a tension of him understanding that I am gonna have to go all the way to the top to become innocent at the end of my life.
Yeah.
All right.
With another magician, Gilles de Siey, Gilles de Rais' cousin, he was so scared that he jumped out of a window. Later,
These are good
Mike-
shows.
Yeah.
Like Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah.
Later, it was also said that whatever that magician had summoned, it beat him severely and wounded his face for bothering him.
Oh, wow.
I think it was just some guy.
Yeah, it really could have been.
But that was the least of the unfortunate incidents to befall some of the magicians that came into Gilles' employ. One, he drowned before he even got to the castle. He drowned on the
As
way
in
to the
Gilles
castle.
drowned him, or
No,
he just happened to
he
drown?
just happened to drown.
Yeah, man.
They
It's
just
It was
hard
a
out
different
there.
time.
Yeah, rivers are different.
Yeah.
Another one died immediately and almost cartoonishly as soon as he walked into the castle. It's one of those things where like they opened the door and he just fucking
And then meanwhile, Gilles de Rais was like,
There's no way this is about.
yeah.
Yeah, wow.
The closest it seems that any of these early magicians came to summoning something was when a man named Jean de la Rivière was instructed to summon the devil, presumably as a test.
camera test.
Yeah, and supposedly, after the magician went into the forest and futzed around for a bit, Gilles heard a clang.
Some kind of Foley going on with there? Foley artist?
Well, what was that then?
Well, the magician then entered and said that he'd seen a demon in the shape of a leopard.
No shit. No fucking shit.
No shit, dude.
He saw a
No
leopard.
shit. Saw a leopard, but
A leper or a leopard?
Leopard. Problem is, didn't want to talk to me. Didn't want
it's
to
a
talk to
cat.
me. He just walked on by. But they
fucking
saw a cat.
Cat called it a demon, and then said he did his job.
Leopards are stuck up.
Yeah, well, that's
Sure
it.
they are.
He knew that it was a demon because it gave him a disdainful look.
It's a cat.
Yeah, that's what cats do.
Yeah,
That's
no,
most
but-
of their life
no,
going. It's the equivalent of eye rolls.
Yeah.
If cats could, I mean, big cats, they'll, if they were allowed near our nuclear facilities, they would knock all.
They would. But okay, fine. So they went back to the castle and got drunk. And the next day, the magician was like, "Hey, Gilles, give me 20 gold coins. I just
Why?
need 20 gold coins."
What'd you do? You told me you saw a leopard and we got camera together. You didn't do
I
anything.
just need 20 gold coins.
Come on,
I'm good for it. I'm good for it.
Yeah, I'm good for
Yours
it.
fucking 20 silver coins. You make it gold.
No.
You know what the thing is? I need some gold as an example.
Yeah.
So I can show the silver what it needs to be.
And so Gilles said, "Fine, here, take it." And the guy just fucking left. He never saw him again.
God, it is just this. You know what it feels like? The way David Spade describes his home, but he was like when he was talking about it because he got robbed several times. And
Yeah.
he's just like, all I do is I let these strange women in on my house. Like, I don't know who's in my house, and it just feels like that where he just
Gotta be
lets
careful.
people
Yeah.
in and out of his home.
Now, that guy had obviously been a scam artist, and it's almost positive that every single one of the magicians who came to bilk money out of Gilles de Rais were in one way or another a charlatan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And pretty much, if you could get Gilles to even half-heartedly say, like, wow, then you were guaranteed at least a couple of gold coins.
All right. I can make him say wow.
Yeah. How? Are you gonna make Gilles de Rais say,
He's
wow?
just gonna fucking
Ah,
gape
do
his
something.
asshole. He's
Do
gonna
something.
bend over.
I mean, I'd
Be
figure
like,
something out.
Take a look at that hole.
Take a look at that. Yeah, I'll do something like that.
But while magicians slid in and out of Gilles' life for at most a few days at a time, a magician named Francois Prelati settled in for the long game.
Oh yeah.
Vivid, brilliant, beautiful, and charming, Prelati had first studied to be a priest, but claimed to have mastered black magic and alchemy instead by the age of 20, meaning he knew the rules of both sides. He could appeal to every part of Gilles' spiritual journey.
Okay.
By the time he met Gilles, he claimed to be an accomplished necromancer who had called Satan into his service many times over the course of... But these days, Prelati claimed to be working exclusively with one demon.
Yeah, I got a contract now. I'm
Yeah,
kind of
just one
contracted.
guy.
by
Just
it.
one guy.
One.
Prelati claimed that with the help of a Fritz d'Artenay, he had summoned a demon who appeared as a handsome man.